Hello everyone, I am Aditi Kumar and welcome to another session related to generative AI. So before going to the technicality or maybe the modeling behind generative AI, so I want to introduce the basic architecture of the tool where we are implementing the generative AI to make it workable or maybe make it available for the real world scenario or maybe for solving the real world problem. So we need to understand the basic foundation with respect to a generative AI related tool architecture, how we can make it live for a real world, or what are the basic foundational architecture behind any generative AI model or any generative AI tool. Let's start for today. So the overview point of view I can say, so today we will discuss basically what are the main pillar or maybe the stepwise process we are following whenever we are thinking for imputing the generative AI concept into a process or into a model. There is a certain steps. We need to go through each step and we will understand the better and better in a very simpler way. Let's start. If I am talking about generative AI architecture, that means this is the architecture of any smart system or any tool where we are imputing the generative AI concept, or maybe we are using generative AI modeling behind that particular tool or behind that particular smart system. But if I am talking about any smart system building or maybe development, or maybe from development to make it workable in the real scenario, so there are certain steps actually we are following, sequential process. So first process here is data pre-processing layer. Data pre-processing layer plays a very important role where actually we are collecting the qualitative data or we are pre-processing according to our problem statement, which is required for our problem statement or maybe for further modeling, further processes, right? Then second is generative model layer, where we are adding or maybe implementing the suitable machine learning model or maybe any smart maybe some advanced machine learning model we are basically building based on our available data and what exactly our problem statement. According to that, we are selecting a we are doing actually the modeling. There is a certain processes, basically certain fundamental things behind it, but this is the some high level things. Actually there is some machine learning model we are building for generating the content, because it is the generative AI, that means it is generating the content, right, generating the thing. So we are implementing the generative models, machine learning models for basically satisfying the expectation of this particular problem statements, right? Third point here is the feedback and improvement layer. Definitely whatever the any model we are building, definitely we are looking for its performance, right? How it is basically performing with respect to our expectation, or how it should be. If it is not working as expected, or maybe with reference to our testing data or validation data, then we are basically just doing the backtracking and we are basically doing the continuous improvement, right, starting from data collection to our model building again. The entire complete cycle actually we are following, right? We have already another video earlier created, so related to how the entire process or cycle actually we are following whenever we are building any model, any machine learning model or maybe data science model. And the last point here is the deployment and integration layer. So once we collected the data, we build that particular model, which is basically now it is workable after validation. Now we will make it workable. We need to input into that particular system to make it workable in the real scenario. This is basically the four major high level points, but again I divided into that particular 4 point into multiple separate layers, into different 5 layers, which is quite specific to more technical. We can basically discuss more and more on that to understand better and better how maybe I can say from that particular 4 generic concept of the layer, I just make it quite specific with respect to some technical processes, so that it will be pretty easy for understanding. So let's go for these layers I can say. So first layer I highlighted here is basically the layers of generative AI architecture. So first layer is application layer. The second layer is your data platform and API management layer. The third is orchestration layer. Fourth is model layer and hub. And fifth is infrastructure layer. Let's go one by one how it basically these are the layers actually dealing with. We need to understand that. So if I am talking about application layer, this is the I can say the user interface to the real world. This is the basically the I can say we are building the system which is interacting to the real world. For example, maybe one robot actually we are basically developing which can serve the food to us, right? Serving food. This is basically the system. This is the application layer. We are basically hiding each and every concept behind it. This is completely the abstraction. That's why it includes basically I can say the entire technicality or maybe how we are implementing using that particular technical concept. We are basically hiding these things. We are only giving the abstraction, I can say the user interface to the real world, so that I can say this is the platform. This is the platform. This is the platform I can say. This is basically the human, and this is basically I can say a machine, right? This is the interaction like operating system in the computer system, right? It is basically acting as a interface between user and a computer, right? This is the basically the interaction medium application layer. It dealing with that. Then if I am talking about second layer, data platform and API management layer, so here basically it is specific to data collection, data pre-processing, your data transformation, or maybe your data engineering I can say, which is I can say from the unstructured raw data you are making it workable or maybe making it suitable for your model building or maybe for your further processes. This is basically the data platform. It's basically one layer where you're dealing with all the data preparation, data collection, and API management layer means you are basically calling different processes or maybe following different terminologies to process your data or maybe to collect your data and make it available for further processes. So this is basically also the second layer where we are dealing with the complete pre-processing of the data. Third layer of this particular process is orchestration layer. So here I can say orchestration layer means I can say it's a we are building the or maybe setting up the thing to make it workable or maybe make it suitable for our application layer or maybe for data layer for API. For example, we are basically building a thing, right? We are building a model. We are keep it ready so that tomorrow suppose there is a our end system or application layer, we want to inject that, we can easily inject that. This is basically the orchestration layer. Orchestration layer means example here is a prompt engineering or LLM ops means once we are basically building something, building some generative AI model, we are basically creating a process, creating a streamline so that we will basically follow a particular path or maybe particular process to make it available for the application layer or maybe the API layer effectively. That is basically the concept of orchestration layer or basically the role of orchestration layer. And the next layer here is model layer and hub. So model layer means this is basically the layer where we are building the concept or maybe the core model related to generative AI, or maybe it is your ML foundational model or maybe LLM foundational model. So these are the concept. Definitely we will have the future videos, but these are the concept of whatever the foundational model or your model related to your content generation, this model building or model testing, model validation, everything basically doing is happening in this particular layer. And also there is a model hub, is a central repository or central place where you can extract the existing model, or maybe you can put our model so that it will can be used in the future project or my future use cases. This is basically the layer is dealing with. And my last layer here is infrastructure layer. Infrastructure layer means this is basically the infrastructure where we are starting our work, we are building our model, we are building our API, we are thinking to build the platform where we will start our development. For example, very popular today is cloud platform, right? We no need to basically manage the infrastructure of our own, right? We don't need to purchase any hardware for that infrastructure setup. We can use the basically uh, cloud platform, and you can pay whatever we are using, right? And again, GPU and TPU basically for parallel processing, it is very much essential for model training and validation. So it is really required, and if you are going to set up the infrastructure, then it is a high cost. That's why we should use the cloud platform. Basically, though according to our use, we can pay that, right? So this is basically the infrastructure setup for starting our development or starting our design or maybe our experimentation. This is basically the layer it is dealing with. So if I will summarize, it is a bottom up approach, I can say. I will basically simplify this description. For example, here I set up all the infrastructure because I decided which infrastructure layer. I decided what cloud I will use or what basically platform I will use, right? On the top of that, I started developing my model. This is my model layer, right? I basically I know the problem statement. I use this particular modeling layer to select the suitable model, or basically I use the our preprocessed data and started building the model, right? So this is basically the model layer which dealing with. I started building the model, right? Then the third layer is our orchestration layer. Orchestration layer. That means whatever the model I build on the top of our infrastructure layer, I will keep ready, I will keep a process for make it available for the real scenario. This is the orchestration layer. Then actually API management or data layer. Data layer basically is related to input data, also some real world scenario. It is the real time data will come, then again we need to predict, right? We need to take action. That's why it is the data layer and API management layer. So from our orchestration layer, the model or logic should be available for API management layer, or maybe for processing of the real world data, right? To take action on the real world data, right? And finally it is application layer. And we are basically whatever the model we are developing, we are the process we are creating, or maybe API we are building, we are basically deploying into application layer. So that this is basically the work with real world. This is the interface to the real world, and this is basically the way. And I can say the abstraction level is high here, and abstraction level is low here. Low. Because here actually we are whatever the thing actually we are building, gradually we are making it encapsulating into a, I can say, some package, and we are basically delivering for our real world use, right? This is basically the basic concept of any architecture related to any generative AI tool, I can say. Generative AI basically is a concept, I can say, which is specially used in modeling technique, in the modeling layer. But again, this is basically the entire tool or a smart system we are building, where generative AI is a concept, or maybe I can say the backbone is the generative AI. But this is a smart system, software system, or both software plus hardware system. It depends basically. If it is a robot, then some hardware is there, right? This is basically the foundational concept, or maybe I can the fundamental concept of the architecture overview behind any generative AI system. If I'm talking about generative AI, only it is dealing with the model layer or maybe some data layer, collection of the data. But the entire thing is a system, generative AI system, generative AI smart system. That's why before starting the technical details directly into the generative AI, I thought I will start with some basic architectural concept so that it will be pretty easy. Then maybe the next session, maybe later sessions, what we will do, we will dig dive into each section and maybe we will understand how different tools and technologies is working for each section. But again, there are multiple things under one section, right? According to our scenario, according to our maybe problem statement, we can decide the appropriate one. That's why it is very important to understand the high level picture, the big picture, instead of just basically picking a very basically I can say some very sub part of this particular architecture. If you will just see a very big picture, then it will be pretty much easy for us to understand the entire picture behind that particular, or maybe entire the technicality behind that particular high level architecture, how it is working. That's why basically I created this particular content so that it will be useful for understanding the things. Thank you very much for watching this particular video. Please do subscribe my channel and put comment so that it will be pretty easy for me to understand the expectations from you. And also please share this particular video so that it will be useful for others. And also I can say please enable the notification properly so that you can get the notification whenever this type of new content I am uploading without any failure. Once again, thank you very much for watching this particular video.